Alright, so this is Hyde, a 2011 survival horror game made for the Justice Pageant by a user named Should Ice. It's basically the definition of an indie game, as whenever you try to look it up, you only go to a forum posting he made when he first released it. The plot seems to be a man escaping from a prison camp, as you can see from those lights back there, but as you can see from the title screen, you don't really get much else to go off of. You're walking around trying to find 5 signs, and as you find each sign, people start to pursue you. Over here is the first sign that people usually go to because it's right next to where you start. There are only 2 controls in this game: moving around using a WASD, and hide, which you press spacebar to do. It's an interesting color palette, as they decide not to use any colors at all other than gray, white, and black. It helps be very atmospheric. So the first sign, persecution, 2 of 5. Now once you leave, you get your pursuers. These creatures who make weird sounds and have flashlights. Now as you can see here, I'm now pressing hide. Hide causes you to crouch. Whenever they get you into their lights, they slowly come towards you, and once they catch you, game's over. So you'll probably notice this is like a more popular game called Slender. Yes, people have compared this to a game like Slender, but one interesting thing to note is that Slender came out in August 2012, while this came out in July 2011, so over a year before it came out. But both involve finding signs while wandering around in a dark wilderness while something tries to catch you. But there are several main differences. Hyde decides to use a more pixelated thing, kind of reminding me of something like Dune or Duke Nukem. And unlike Slender, the signs are not random. They will always be where they are. And as you notice here, whenever you get closer to somebody who's pursuing you, the screen gets grainier. There's already a natural grain on it, but it gets even worse as you get closer. Starting to get a little closer here. Hiding right behind, he's on the other side of the wall here. And because I found the second sign, there's now a second pursuer looking for me as well. Now here, I actually do get caught, but because of the game's programming, I just walk back to the other side of the wall and he doesn't catch me. That's not to say this is a badly designed game. Throughout my entire playthrough here, I really didn't see any glitches. I did see a report of somebody who said that they found a point where they fell out of the world and the game crashed after that, but I'd never found that. So, I completely forgot what that second sign said, but right now I'm moving over to the side away from both of these people because I don't want to be caught again. Anyways, as you can see from these 2 pursuers, they seem to be patrolling, and you can look straight at them. Unlike Slender Man, who just kind of randomly appears behind you, and once he catches you, it's over. You can't really escape, because if you run away, he'll just catch you again. That's something I think really helps this game in its favor, because, well, with Slender Man, you kinda don't have any choices. If they choose to have you be caught, that's kind of the end of the game. You just restart and play again. Whereas with this, you can kind of see that they have a patrolling pattern, so you're trying to avoid being caught. That's the whole point of the game. You're trying to find all these signs while hiding from people trying to pursue you. So you can watch their patrolling patterns and actually figure out a strategy for how you're supposed to do it. I'm not very good at this kind of game, but I can't see how people can enjoy this because they can actually feel like they're doing something, unlike with Slender, where you're just kind of walking around and hoping that you don't get randomly caught. Now, to say a bit more about this game's style, I actually kind of like how it's made. it feels a lot older, and because of that, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's because it feels more vintage, the older pixelated style, that actually helps me get into the feel of it. From far away, things sometimes just look like blobs, but then when you get closer, they start to form something, and it kind of helps. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but it kind of helps, just kind of helps get this feel for this game, that you're kind of in this very lone, dense forest with black trees and a white snowy ground, which by the way, the sound of him walking gets kind of annoying, but not as annoying as his breathing, which is kind of constant. And kind of bothers you. Oh, here I find the third sign, which is murder. So, at this point, there's now a third pursuer, but they add another thing after you find the third sign. As you can probably see from there, there's now a light coming down from above me. This is a helicopter that is now patrolling the area trying to look for you. Now, when these helicopters find you, it doesn't actually end the game. But what they do is when they catch you in their sights, they seem to alert people around you, and they come pursuing after you. Now, I'm kind of freaking out right here because I thought he had caught me and the screen was getting grainier. That's only because one of the guys who were looking for me was right around the corner. So, kind of hightail it out of there and try and find the next place. Of course, it's not randomized, so the signs will always be in preset places. I knew where those three were, but I didn't really know where the last two are. I knew where one of them was, but in my several playthroughs before this, I could never actually find it. Right now, one problem that people find is, along with the heavy breathing and the weird sound effects, it's a very, very slow game. Sometimes with his walking, he's a very slow walker, so you'll feel like you're kind of being kind of like sloshing through snow, which can help in some situations but also kind of hurts it. And you spend a lot of time just kind of staring at trees, hoping that you don't get caught, and trying to figure out the best way around these people. Now, when I first played this with a friend of mine, we were kind of wondering what they were, because they don't really sound like people. They kind of sound like pigs or something like that. Oh, and to also note, there are borders around this entire map. They're defined by very large slopes and trees like this, where if you try to walk up them, you can't really go anywhere. It seems like you should be able to go back over to like that prison area, but well, you can't really do much about that. So right now I'm just walking around here trying to figure out where the last ones are. Crouching down, kind of sneaking through, because there's one of the patrollers right over to my left. And because of your ability to get lost pretty easily, I end up right around the starting area again. And as I do that, one of the helicopters comes and finds me, and of course I start to freak out because, well, I was wondering why it didn't end, and of course, now one of the guys is looking directly at me. So now it just becomes a race of time where you're trying to get away from everybody while also trying to find the next signs. One of the best feelings of the game is once you start to get caught, they start to become a lot faster and try to catch you a lot more, and it becomes a much more hectic game as it wears on. But it's a very limited playthrough game. After you find all 5 signs, there's no real reason to find it again, unless you're trying to like race somebody. And I looked down at the stick because I figured it was a weapon or something. But now I'm just kind of circling around this area, trying to figure out where the last 2 signs are. Just walking in this open field, and you can probably get a feel for how slow this game sometimes is. It's walking very slowly, and even with the sprint button, you need to tap it constantly to even get anywhere. I think I see something over in the distance, but I'm not really sure, so I decided to take a look. In actuality, the next time I'm looking for is up to the left on a church up on top of that hill. For some reason, I didn't seem to notice it because from this distance it looks like another tree. But you can kind of sort of make out the figure of a cross up left corner. And if you run a lot, it causes you to breathe harder, which gets a little more annoying. Overall, though, I think this is a pretty good game. It's completely free. You don't have to pay for it all. It's one of those games that you can sit down and do a few playthroughs till you find everything. And for what is a pretty small map, it's actually pretty easy to get lost. And at this point, there is a patroller right on the other side of this hill, so kind of trying to peek over to see where he is. And it's getting grainier, and oh, God.